Parents, when did you realize your child's school was failing them? I still remember the day my daughter came home from elementary school crying her eyes out. Her little face was completely red and swollen, and it absolutely broke my heart. I asked her what was going on, keeping my voice steady and calm. This continued for a few minutes. My daughter has a speech impediment, so this was nothing new, but still, her stuttering was lasting longer than usual, which made me immediately suspicious. After 10 minutes, she finally said enough for me to make out what was going on. Well, kinda. I knew it was something about her teacher, and the class laughing at her. It was enough for me to be filled with rage. In front of her, I kept my cool and used my usual dad trick. I grabbed a piece of paper, scribbled a world's coolest daughter certificate onto it, and handed it to her. Through her tears, she started giggling, and finished her evening with a bath and Body Works bath bomb. The next day, after I dropped her off, I waited in the car park. After 20 minutes had passed, I sneaked into her elementary school and stood outside the door of her classroom. I honestly had no idea what I was doing, or what exactly I was looking for. I just knew I needed to do something, and after just a few minutes, I got my answer. The teacher asked the class a question, and my daughter's hand shot right up. A feeling of pride filled my veins, but that was soon replaced with rage. 300, and she struggled to get the words out, but it was clear she knew the answer. But instead of encouraging her, the teacher chuckled. Suddenly, the entire room broke into laughter. "Hey Zoe, maybe you should use your words," someone heckled. "She sounds like a broken robot," someone else said tauntingly. It took everything in me not to burst right through the door and start throwing hands, because I knew that would embarrass her. So instead, I continued observing. Tears started streaming down my daughter's face, and the teacher said, "Okay, let's move on," with a massive smirk plastered on his face. That's when my cover was blown, because my daughter ran out to try and make a beeline towards the bathroom, but I stopped her, and she ran into my arms. I held her so tight she could barely breathe, and I immediately felt her little shoulders loosen up. I put her down, and she tightly held my hand as we marched to the principal's office. When we walked in, he looked confused, and I could immediately tell that he wasn't aware of what was going on, so I laid it out for him. "A member of your staff has been encouraging bullying towards my daughter." My tone was cold, straight to the point. I expected to notice some sort of urgency or shock in his face, but instead, he just sighed. "What is it for?" "Her speech impediment," I responded. "Well, she should probably get it fixed then." My hand that wasn't holding my daughter's tightened so hard, my knuckles turned completely white. I was about to say something, but that's when I noticed the school calendar on his desk. There was an event scheduled for Friday that week, the school talent show. That fact was enough for me to walk away from the situation, because I began to hatch a plan. You see, I worked as a general at a military base. None of the parents or teachers knew this, because it usually garners a lot of attention, something I wanted to avoid, but I was about to shove it down their throats. I let my daughter stay home from school until the day came. Fast forward to Friday. My daughter was due to perform a poem, and she was begging me to let her pull out. "No, sweetie pie, you gotta show them who's boss," I'd tell her. I knew she was going to get bullied, laughed at, made fun of, but I wanted that. In fact, the more they teased her, the happier I'd be. So when she had just finished her first sentence, and someone yelled, "Hey, are you loading or something?" I smiled, because that's when 6 military trucks pulled up outside, and soldiers began to fill the auditorium. Everyone sat there frozen, not knowing if this was organized by someone else. As Zoe locked eyes with me, I told her to continue. She kept stuttering, but this time, the room was silent, except for her teacher who couldn't help but burst into laughter. In response, one of my soldiers marched straight towards him and stared him down until he felt too stupid to say anything else. As soon as my daughter finished, they all filed out and left. Everyone's heads turned to look at each other, and the auditorium was flooded with muffled confusion. This was then followed by a slow, controlled round of applause. Some people were even cheering. Meanwhile, the teacher looked like he was about to tear the room apart with anger. This made me even more amused, and a sense of joy filled my stomach. I thought the story had ended, but really, it was just beginning. Because it turns out that teacher, Mr. Evans, had an ace up his sleeve, one that threatened to ruin me and my daughter's lives forever. The full story is on my channel and linked below.